It's exactly what it says on the tin. Five Nights at Freddy's character design tier list. No wasting time, let's go! Classic Freddy. Good. I tend to prefer the Freddy designs that lean closer to brown than orange. The hat and bow tie are iconic design elements. A tier. Classic Bonnie. A great design. I think the blue-purple palette with their reddish accents just work really well together. All the classics are pretty simple, but I think that's part of what makes him so memorable. A. Classic Chica. A tier as well. Chica's my favorite character, but in terms of character design, she's probably my least favorite classic, but she's still great. I like her purple eyes, and putting these jagged teeth in her beak makes her look hungry. I think Chica designs are scariest when she looks like she would eat you if she was hungry enough. Classic Foxy. My favorite design of the classics. The best character designs manage to convey character information just by looking at them. And Foxy's lean, almost frail body type makes him look like a speedster when compared to his more rotund companions. The fact that Foxy's legs are the main part of his body that are exposing his endo also draws attention to them, again showcasing the fact that he's very mobile. Not to mention how good he looks, the reds and silvers work together wonderfully. This is just a smart design. S tier. Golden Freddy. Super cool. I love how bright the yellow is compared to Chica's duller brass color. I think Scott ran the risk of the design looking less creepy because it's such a bright color, but because the color is yellow, the color of fear because your brain associates it with danger, that's why wet floor signs are colored this bright yellow, allows Fredbear to be immediately eye-catching, but not less creepy. A tier. Toy Freddy, our first low-ranking design. He just looks so silly. Even his no-eye look doesn't manage to scare me at all, and besides that, he just kinda looks ugly. Despite still having the top hat and the bow tie, he has none of the class of classic Freddy. The gamer memes aren't enough to save him. E tier. Toy Bonnie. A much better design. He looks like a doll/action figure that would catch the eye of a child with its bright colors, but still manages to creep you out. Basically, he does what Toy Freddy was trying to do, better. I think a lot of people don't like Bonnie designs that are this bright sky blue, but I think it works. I think the bright reds balance it out. Easy A tier. Toy Chica. A rather mediocre design. I think swapping her bib from Let's Eat to Let's Party was a downgrade. I know her whole gluttony thing is supposed to be represented by her gaping mouth, but still, it doesn't hit the same. C tier. Mangle. Wow, the toy designs are really hit or miss, huh? Just like Toy Bonnie, Mangle succeeds at having a super bright color palette and action figure adjacent design, but still looks scary. This arachnid endo thing Mangle has going on is just so cool. S tier. The Puppet. What might just be the best design of the entire franchise. These dark eyes with no pupils are terrifying. I love how tall and slim it is. While other animatronics look like they would probably kill you by biting you, the puppet looks like strangling you is more their speed. Their color palette is masterful with a sharp monochrome look, only adding color to their mask which draws attention to the puppet's face. I adore how looking at the mask from different angles demonstrates the puppet's different emotions, like from ancient Japanese no masks. This is smart because unlike other animatronics, the puppet has a fixed expression, which only adds to its creepy factor. Easy S tier, obviously. Balloon Boy and JJ. I'm ranking them together because they're really just the same design. Putting aside my anti-BB bias, I just don't like how they look. I guess I could say that they have a leg up on Toy Freddy since they do manage to look somewhat creepy, but still it's not pleasant to look at. D tier. Withered Freddy. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like the Withers very much. I think at best, they only look as good as the classics, and at worst, they look comically stupid. Using that scale, I'd put Withered Freddy directly in the middle. Not too good, but not too bad either. C tier. Withered Bonnie. By far the best Withered design. The ripped off face with the glowing red eyes are cool. Still not better than its classic form though. A tier. Withered Chica. She's okay. I don't love her. I think the reason I don't like the Withers in general is, besides their weird proportions, it feels like they're trying too hard. I feel like the classics were way more memorable and iconic and scary. I'd put Withered Chica in the D tier. Withered Foxy. I really don't like this design. His face looks so stupid, I'm sorry. The oversized hook is his only redeeming quality, but it's still not enough to save him from where he belongs. The F tier. Withered Golden Freddy. A downgrade. This dull brass color is a downgrade from the bright dangerous yellow of classic Fredbear, and honestly I just find classic Golden Freddy to be way creepier. E tier. Shadow Freddy. At least creepier than Withered Golden Freddy, despite just being a color swap. I think the white eyes are helping a lot. This purple is also a much nicer looking hue than the old moldy Goldie over there. B tier. Shadow Bonnie. Way less interesting to look at than Shadow Freddy, since it's just a silhouette. I don't have anything to comment on, it's just a nothing design. E tier. Springtrap. Now I know this might be controversial, but this is not my favorite Spring Bonnie design. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people really like this design, and I'm not saying it's bad at all, it's just not my favorite. I think the green color is putting me off a bit. But I do like how human Springtrap looks. The eyes really look like they're staring at you the way a human would, compared to other animatronics that kind of have a blank stare a lot of the time. A tier. The Phantoms. I'm ranking these designs together because they have the exact same strengths and weaknesses. I like how they look physically damaged, but also look ethereal, like ghosts. The bright white eyes are scary. My main problem is that, to me, the Phantoms never looked burned the way they were supposed to. I always thought they looked more like they roll around in the mud than charred from fire. But none of them are bad designs. All B tier. Nightmare Freddy. I like this design a lot. It might be my favorite Nightmare. I think the way he's built makes him look scarier than, say, Nightmare Fredbear, who's a lot more round. Their freckles are just so scary and cool. Just a great design through and through. S tier. Nightmare Bonnie. Another good design. I think it's less successful than Nightmare Freddy, just because Nightmare Bonnie is less interesting to look at, along with being physically smaller, making him look less scary, but this design is still great. A tier. Nightmare Chica. One of Chica's better designs for sure. I like the multiple layers of teeth a lot. My main issue is her one red eye. I think she'd look better with two red eyes than just the one, since I prefer for design elements to feel less random and more like they have a reason to be there. And I just can't think of a reason to give Chica one glowy eye. B tier. Oh, and Jacko Chica is A tier and Jacko Bonnie is B tier. No, I'm not going to explain myself. Nightmare Foxy. The Nightmares are just really good designs all around. I like Foxy's exposed snout, it's really interesting looking, but I regret the loss of the eye patch. It makes the pirate hook feel like it shouldn't be there. B tier. And Jacko Foxy is A tier, very cool and very scary. Nightmare Fredbear. Pretty great, actually. I like the purple hat and bow tie, and the stomach mouth is so creepy. I've also always really liked how his fangs look almost bloodstained. Very cool. A tier. Plushtrap. Kinda meh. Definitely FNAF 4's weakest design. In that level that he's in, he's quite creepy, but if you look at his model, he looks like such a funny little guy. Anyway, C tier. Nightmarion. One of FNAF's scariest designs, to me at least. I think replacing all the color from the marionette's mask with a strict chessboard color palette was a smart choice for a Nightmare puppet design, and these tentacles are absolutely horrifying. S tier. Nightmare Mangle. Better than Nightmare Foxy, I'd wager. I think Mangle's destroyed look fits really well with the Nightmare aesthetic, and the pink-white color palette still manages to be frightening. A tier. Nightmare. A cool design. I love the translucent thing it has going on, but I personally prefer Nightmare Fredbear's golds and purples over Nightmare's blacks and yellows. B tier. Nightmare BB. I can't ever think about Nightmare Balloon Boy without thinking about his confirmed canonicity as he's in UCN. Ignoring that though, this design is scary, despite looking like a bobblehead. It's not an amazing design, it's just better than the original Balloon Boy, so we'll put him in C tier. Circus Baby. An amazing design. Exceedingly creepy? Check. Good color palette? Check. This is Digital Location's best design, full stop. S tier. Funtime Freddy. Good. I think I prefer Funtime Foxy's bright pinks over this subdued magenta, but it's still good. Honestly, the worst part of Funtime Freddy's design is Bonbon. It just doesn't go. It does not work. So I give Funtime Freddy an A. Funtime Foxy. After examining this design for a bit, I'd say there's practically nothing about this design that I dislike. If you pulled my arm, I guess I could say these leg buttons are a bit weird, but that's just a nitpick. S tier all the way. Ballora. I'm mixed. In some ways, I really like Ballora. I like the whole closed eyes thing, and the ballerina aesthetic is wonderfully executed. But I just don't like character designs that are over-sexualized just for the sake of it. Ballora's not that bad when compared to other characters, but it is still off-putting. It also annoys me how Baby is supposed to be a foot taller than Ballora, but in all our appearances, Ballora is much taller. Anyway, B for Ballora. Ennard, aka the Mimic, but better. Ennard is just awesome. Super scary looking and apparently like 16 feet tall. What? I guess Scott didn't pay much attention to character height for this game, huh? But still, Ennard is great. S tier. Rockstar Freddy. People hate the Rockstars, and I don't really get why. I like their hinged heads, and I think the chest stars look better than the buns that we see on a lot of other animatronics. But I do have some nitpicks on each of them. For Freddy, his kneecaps are red to match his cheeks, and it looks kind of off. B tier. Rockstar Bunny. His kneecaps are also red, but since red is already Bunny's established accent color, it doesn't look off. The bane of Rockstar Bunny are his eyes. His eyeballs are just too small for its sockets, it skeeves me out. B tier. Rockstar Chica. A compilation of character design traits that I don't like Chica to have. Babe that says let's rock? Uninspired. And her violet cheeks make her look like she's been bruised. And she lost her cupcake. The maracas are a total downgrade. C tier. Rockstar Foxy. I've heard a lot of people bash his Foxy for not having pirate shorts, but no one cared about Funtime Foxy and Mangle not having legwear, so I won't hold it against Rockstar Foxy. I like his parrot and his peg leg, and a red Foxy that's not torn up and withered is a breath of fresh air. A tier. The mediocre melodies. I had written 5 separate sections for each of these characters, only to realize that I ranked them all in the same tier. The long and short of it is, these designs are fine. There's nothing explicitly wrong with them, but they just don't do anything interesting or noteworthy. It's in their name. The mediocre melodies are going in the C tier. Funtime Chica. This might take the cake for Chica's worst design. It feels like a very rushed design. This orange is clashing hideously with the whites and pinks of the Funtime crew. Her proportions look really weird, as if her head, torso, and limbs were all modeled by different people and just stapled together. And her trademark Funtime opening plates are way too segmented and don't make sense. I don't care how many flirty poses UCN puts her in, Funtime Chica is ugly. She is the poster child of the F tier. Scrap Baby. A good design, but maybe not as good as Circus Baby. Her lobster claw hand is pretty cool, I guess, but it is a pretty busy design. There's lots of detailing, but no real charm. Still, it's not bad by any means. B tier. Molten Freddy. I don't like him. I may be a little salty that Ennard was introduced at the end of Sister Location like a big important thing, only to be immediately abandoned as a character design and replaced with Funtime Freddy, now with wires. Out of the remaining Funtimes that were combined together, Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora, they chose the most boring option to be the focus of this new design. If you like this design, that's totally fine. I can't stress enough how objective this entire tier list is. With that said, in my opinion, Molten Freddy is just a Freddy head with hands, and that's not interesting to me. E tier. Scrap Trap. I think I've had a lot of hot takes in this video, but I do not have a hot take about this guy. He's ugly. F tier. Lefty. I like Lefty, I think. I do think the puppet is a better design, but I can appreciate the whole bear trap pun. I like the general design of the Rockstar, so Lefty gets a very respectable place in the A tier. Glitch Trap. Now this is my favorite incarnation of Spring Bonnie. I think after looking at all of the designs from the games, Glitch Trap takes the award for most terrifying design. It's just so creepy. The drool and the tear marks are horrifying. S tier without a doubt. Glamrock Freddy. This is a really great design. I mentioned earlier that I prefer Freddy designs that are more brown than orange, and the reason for that is that I think orange looks too friendly to be scary. Inevitably, that means I'm glad that a friendly Freddy is orange instead of brown. In general, this color palette is quite good. This clementine orange and light blue pair very well together, and the red fits in surprisingly well. I don't really get why in some renders his eyes are blue and in others his eyes are silver. I think the blue looks better, but all in all this is a wonderful design. My favorite part about his design is that he's the only Glamrock to not incorporate purple into his design, which is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier with giving information through character design only. Another unique element of his design is that he's the only Glamrock to not wear quote-unquote clothes. Ignoring that though, S tier. Glamrock Chica. Funtime Chica walked, so Glamrock Chica could run. Really, the swine pink color palette works very well on Chica without the orange. I'm pretty sure this is Chica's first design without a bib, and I know that for this whole list, I've made a big stink about Chica's bib and how I like it when character designs give information about the character, so I'm going to try to not be biased and rank this design accordingly. Looking at her, it's a pleasant looking design, but I'm not really getting much personality outside of I like pink. So she gets an A for style, but misses out on an S because style is all she really has. Montgomery Gator. People hate Monty. I know a lot of people believe he killed Bonnie or whatever, but what I'm ranking here is his design, and he looks good. These greens and yellows were great, and the bits of purple and red managed to pop without taking precedence. Steel Wool did a great job of making him look like a bruiser/brawler type character. Having the most bright purple on his hands and feet draws your eyes to the sharpest elements of his design, his claws. And him being shirtless just makes him look more like a tank. S tier. Roxanne Wolf. People love Roxy. Her design is a bit busy, with 8 different colors on her, but it still looks cohesive enough, which is nice. I think if you inspect her design closely, she does look like she cares about her appearance a lot. She's wearing eyeshadow and lipstick, lots of earrings, all of her nails are painted, and although I'm not making the shadow designs, I will mention the fact that her hair is always kept clean is a very nice touch. I don't really think I have anything to complain about. S tier. Sun Moon. Even though I'm bummed we missed out on a Glamrock style puppet animatronic, I do like these guys. They look very unsettling and scary, and I dig their gesture aesthetic. I really like the little sleigh bells attached to them, those are neat. I think Moon is a stronger design. This star pattern fits in perfectly with the daycare naptime vibe, but they're both great. I give Moon an S and Sun an A. DJ Music Man. I think DJ Music Man is the kind of design that looks really good at a glance, but the more you look at it, the more you realize it's not that good. Like, it is a fantastic concept. Giant spider clown DJ. Amazing. But the design kind of stumbles in the execution department. This color palette is all over the place, and the top hat with headphones looks kind of silly. I don't hate this design, but it does kind of look like a rejected Poppy Playtime character. C tier. Vanny. Vanny looks pretty cool. I mean, on paper, I'm not too scared of Velveteen Rabbit cosplayer, but her bright red eyes are pretty spooky in the dark. What's always confused me is that there are basically two different Vanny designs. There's a design that's mostly white with a patch of red plaid and a blue ribbon. Then there's a design that has a lot of brown spots and a purple ribbon. The second one is definitely stronger in my opinion. I think the browns pair well with the red eyes, and a purple bow tied around her neck is obviously a more narratively satisfying design element than a blue one. So I give Vanny an A tier. Burn Trap. Definitely an upgrade from Scrap Trap. I love that you can see his teeth and stuff, and his growing wires of flesh are pretty cool. His body type and build also makes him look taller and scarier. I'd honestly put it on the same level as the original Springtrap, A tier. The Blob. Take everything I said about Molten Freddy and amplify it by a billion. At least Molten Freddy was a unique Freddy head. This is literally just Fun Time Freddy. F tier. Ruined Chica. Chica, I'm sorry that you are the only Glamrock I didn't put in S tier. Thankfully, this design redeems you. By chopping her mouth off and sticking a bunch of moldy cheese on her, her design is not giving you information about her character. I think a lot of character designs that are meant to embody gluttony or an endless hunger do that by making the character overweight. But Ruined Chica takes a much more nuanced and interesting approach. She has a gaping mouth that literally can't close, and a stomach that's so thin that any food she eats falls right out of her. I think showcasing Chica's starving nature by making her look so sickly and frail that no matter what she eats, she can't be satisfied is utterly genius. S tier with no hesitation. Ruined Monty. He definitely looks scary, but I think removing all the green, yellow, and purple from his design makes him look less interesting. I guess it represents how they just removed all character from him in Ruin and gave him no new lines outside of growling. D tier. Ruined Roxy. If there's one thing the Ruined designs excel at, it's creep factor. But I think removing Roxy's hair and tail was a downgrade. Her silhouette and recognizability really suffers as a result, and I'm not getting any of her character here. It really pains me to say it, but this design is unpleasant to look at for me. E tier. Prototype Freddy. He's cool. I like that they try to make up for his bright colors by making his shape language more sharp with these spikier bracelets and pointier claws. The stomach hatch knobbing and jagged maw is really neat. A tier. Eclipse. I like the duality / asymmetry thing he has going on. This white rare pantaloon is especially cool, but I can't help but like Sun and Moon better. They just look more cohesive. I reckon the OG Eclipse design we saw from the BB arcade with those bold orange and blacks looked a lot more like a solar eclipse to me, and was, in general, nicer to look at. C tier. Glamrock Bonnie. I'm conflicted about this design. I like the bright blue he grabbed from Toy Bonnie, and his mohawk that Monty later ganked is cool storytelling, but I have some critiques. This is too much red. The best previous Bonnie designs used red as a subtle accent. This bright jumpsuit is overdoing it. And I think the dark blue of the 2D cutouts looks better than the purple of the actual animatronic. Also, something I prefer from the 2D cutout is his slimmer body type. I think it makes him stand out more compared to Freddy and Monty. I give it a B. Respectable. The Mimic. Not a fan. Putting aside my bias against him from a writing standpoint, I just don't like the way he looks. It really is just entered but lacking personality and charm. I can at least appreciate that his costume design, which he crafted to look like Gregory, is very good storytelling through design. So I'll give him a B. The Entity. This guy is hard to talk about since we know almost nothing about him, so I can't rank him on storytelling. I have to do it purely on the way he looks. Thankfully, he looks awesome. This big grin is super scary and these scars look cool. I love the whole digital ghost concept. I hope we see him again. S tier. That's the list. I know there were a few animatronics I didn't rank like Music Man or the Endos, and that's just because I tried to stick to the most important animatronics. Thank you for watching. This is pretty different from our usual theory content, but I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. Bye.